Now, I'd like to talk about a specific iconographic composition. The subject is the Sutrayana Bodhisattva called Maitreya. Maitreya is also the future Buddha, the Buddha who will come in the very distant future once Shakyamuni Buddha's period on earth is officially over. Then the very beginnings of Maitreya's period will start. Now, the painting we're looking at, I'm sorry, I have to turn to the side because I'm using an iPad and a laptop. Now, the painting we're looking at is HAR number 9957, and we have probably 8 versions of this on the HAR website. This is a specific composition which appears to be invented in the 18th century in Tashi Lumpo Monastery with the Tashi Lumpo artists. Of course, you can tell that it's by now that it's a Tashi Lumpo style of painting because it is very busy. It is very congested. There's no space on the canvas for sky or green landscape in the foreground. There's no negative space really to be found. Every part of the canvas is filled with either figures or structures or clouds, trees, or some kind of decorative elements. Now, we have a number of these on the HAR website. We've grouped them together into one page, but we really want to look at this one painting, 9957, because this is a recent painting. This was done in the last 5 years. It was done by an artist called Nupche Dola, who we've been looking at a number of his works. And why have we been doing that? It's actually because they're excellent. I mean, he's one of the best modern, current, young Tibetan artists. And he paints in a very specific style. I think he's born in Sakya, which is like a few hours drive away. It used to be like 4 or 5 hours. I think they've shortened that distance now with the newer highways. But he essentially studied in Tashi Lumpo, studied painting, and his primary style is this Tashi Lumpo, what they call a Menri style, but I actually don't believe that there's really much relationship between original Menri of the 15th century and then the Menri we find that is claimed to be in Tashi Lumpo Monastery, especially from the 18th century to the present, because it's just way too ornamental, it's way too decorative, it's way too, it's really very loud in terms of color and just overwhelming in design and decoration. So with this particular painting, what we have at the top, we have Maitreya seated in the Tushita heaven, and he has a Tisha on one side and Tsongkhapa on the other. It's possible that this came from some sort of a vision or it's related to a Panchen Lama, but I've not seen any literature on it that describes this specific composition and who might have invented it. So I've not searched it out, but it's just never come across my desk. But we have a seated Maitreya in the upper half of the composition, and then we have a standing, or it could be seated, but seated in a Western style with the knees in front and the legs in front, and then he's more of a bodhisattva iconographic form. And then he has 2 bodhisattvas. I think there's Manjushri on one side, and I'm not sure who's on the other. But it's definitely Manjushri, and then there's another figure who's red in color on the other side. Now, the reason this is important to look at is because this is just such a clear example of this composition that it's really copied. It's been copied over the last really 2.5 maybe nearly 3 centuries, and it's just a wonderful example to study with the color, because we can also compare this to at least one other painting that's almost identical, which was a gift to the Qianlong Emperor in the 18th century, and it's almost identical to this. And then we have some other forms where you can look at them and you can see that they're not painted in Tashi Lumpo, but they're following the Tashi Lumpo model. So it's just a good example to use with the very bright colors and the very clear imagery for everything. So we'll leave it there, and we'll talk more about Menri style and Tashi Lumpo Menri and then Lhasa Menri another time.